Hey, I'm coming back to you from my floor, and today I'm gonna go over some more chores. I'm gonna do one of my not so favorite things, but still an important skill to have and thing you have to do. I'm going to be ironing. So I have a little ironing board. It's easier to store, and it works for me because I don't have a lot of clothes that need to be ironed because I don't like doing it. But I do have some pieces that every now and then you just need to, and that's going to happen. You're going to wind up finding a skirt that you love or a shirt with a collar, and you got to do it. So this is my ironing board. You might have one in your house that's much bigger and you have to stand to use it. I don't. I have a little one, just plops on the floor. You can see it here, as well as my festive socks. This is my iron. It's currently heating up, so I gotta be careful with how I hold it. Over here, you can see settings. Now, I tend to always have clothing that's in the higher setting. This is where my cottons are. If I had more delicate fabrics that might melt because the iron's too hot, I would go to a lower setting. Like I had this one tank top in high school, and it was a very polyester blend, and I melted it, and it was never worn again. Wore it once, ironed it, melted it. So that's how you learn. You melt a shirt. Okay. So then this is my setting over here. This is for a spray. I'm going to eventually fill this with water, so it will create steam when I'm ironing, and that helps get really tough wrinkles out. And if I have a really hard wrinkle that I just can't get out, I'll spray it with water, and that will help me so I can flatten it out. So the first thing, I have two things that actually need to be ironed, and two things I'm just going to show you how to iron. So one thing, this is I think the only button down I own that you're going to have to iron, particularly if you're a guy, because these are things you wear to interviews all the time, is a button-down shirt. You wear these to job interviews. You'll wear these anytime you want to look nice. So you got to learn how to iron them. So I iron them on my high setting. Got to put water. You put water in. There's this little hole in the top, and you just got to pour it on in. Ooh, that's quite hot. I can feel the heat on my leg, which is like 6 inches away. And then you just, so I set my sleeve up so that I can get a nice crisp line. So I set it up so one side, this is the seam where it's all stitched together. And then the other side, so it's just nice and flat and smooth. Your sleeves will be longer, I'm sure. This is a 3/4 length sleeve. And then I flip and I get the other side. I try to just make it nice and smooth and even. Now as I iron, I am making sure to keep all my fingers away from this surface because it's really hot. You will get burnt. It will be very painful. You don't want that. And then, since it's a button down, I make sure it's unbuttoned, and I lay the front panel flat, and then you just iron. Now you can see mine has darts on it, and that's just because it's a women's cut. You can see, I don't know if you can see it actually, it's a seam, and that's just because it's women's cut. Men's won't have that. Mine's a bit more fitted. So I'm going to keep going with that. I'm ironing the back. I ironed this the last time. So it's probably like, why am I, oh, I have a hard to get wrinkle out that I just put in it. So I'm spraying. I don't know if you can see that. I'm spraying, and then I'm ironing over it, and that gets the tougher wrinkles out. Never thought that someday I would be making ironing videos. is what happens. You gotta, so this panel, I would do the same thing. Iron it out. I've already done that. You would iron your other sleeve, and then you iron the collar. This is my favorite part to iron because you just flatten it out and then you get it so nice and crisp. Nice, crisp collar. Then you got to make sure you hang it up so you don't make a mess. You don't want to put those wrinkles back into the shirt that you just ironed out. So I like to do that, and then I button on the front so it doesn't fall down off the hanger onto the floor and become a wrinkled mess. Pro tip. Once you iron something, don't undo the good work that you just did by letting it become a wrinkled mess on your floor. There, look at that. It's so fresh and nice. And even looks wrinkly because of the way I'm holding it, but you know, it's not. All right, I just realized there's no way I could hold that so you can see the whole thing at the angle I'm at. All right. Just put that over there. I mostly use that white shirt for Halloween costumes now. There's always a good purpose for a white down button shirt. This is a skirt I recently purchased. It hasn't been ironed, so okay. It has pockets, so those are going to be a nuisance. But I'm just going to run an iron over it because it's got small wrinkles in it. Squirt some water on there. Just so it looks a little less messy. You got to make sure that when you iron, your pockets are flattened out underneath, because if your pockets aren't flattened, you might wrinkle or iron a lump into your clothing. And then you just have this weird lump from your pocket. So I put my hand in there and make sure it's flat. Woo! Yeah. And did you see, I don't know if you can see in the video, but steam is coming out of this because that's how hot this is. And the steam is helping me with my wrinkles. Very exciting, I know. This is riveting entertainment. This is Miss L gets the best Oscar for best household chore performance. I know. Whoa. All right. So this is one of those pieces that's a total pain to iron, but I love it. It's a skirt with umbrellas on it. I bought it right before school closed, so I have yet to wear it to work. But oh my god, it's so cute. Anyway, so I don't need to unzip it. This one has a liner underneath. So, you know, you got to pull this liner out the top because you don't really need to iron a liner. I'm going to rotate my ironing board so I have the pointy end. I could also raise this off the floor, but it never locks right. So I just do it right on the floor. And what I do is I set the pointed end of my ironing board under the skirt. And then I work from the bottom because there's pleats in the top. So those wrinkles are always going to be there. I'm never going to get them out. But I want my pleats that do exist to be as nice and fresh looking as possible. So when I come into school, it's going to be a very Mary Poppins moment with my umbrella skirt and my fresh pleats. But it needs to be ironed every time you wear it. Absolutely every time. As soon as I sit down in it, I'm sure it will wrinkle somewhere. It's the price you pay. The skirt also has pockets. So you got to make sure if your skirts have pockets, you put your hand in there and flatten them out. how could I say no to a skirt with umbrellas and pockets? I love this skirt. Maybe next year I'll wear it on the first day of school. You guys can be like, oh, Miss L, it's your umbrella skirt. I saw you iron that in a video. God help me. All right. I just think it's so cute. Anyway. This is a cotton skirt, so cotton is a higher setting. I'm not ironing anything that could melt today. I found that fabrics that are meltier don't really need to be ironed. Linen, if you get linen, that needs to be ironed. That wrinkles so quick. So, yeah. Linen wrinkles really easily. I would show you how to iron it, but I don't own any linen because it wrinkles so easily. There we go. Oh, such a cute skirt. Love it. All right. And I have one more thing to iron. It's a dress. As you can see, it's very wrinkly. So since it's so long, oh, what a nuisance. Oh, so something you may have noticed me doing with the skirt is I try to iron one section at a time, and I tuck the back underneath the board, because if I iron both at once, there might be like a little wrinkle into the other side that gets ironed into it. So then I'm undoing my good work by ironing right into it. Ironing a wrinkle in, and then you have to iron it out. It's like, why make more work for yourself, right? Ironing's already not fun to begin with. I had to do a lot of ironing earlier in my teaching career because it was like when button-down shirts with ruffles were super in. So I had to iron it, and then I had to iron all my ruffles neatly. Otherwise, the ruffles would be at the wrong way, and it would be like weird looking. So glad that shirts with ruffles aren't in anymore. It's like I'd go to work in all my ruffles, like I was in some sort of Prince cover band. Now I go to work in just comfy sweaters. Now at this point, I can't really get the dress under the ironing board. So I have ironed a wrinkle into the back of my dress. I don't know if you can see it. It's a big old wrinkle. Yeah, you can. It's right there. Look at it. So I'm going to squirt. Spray it with water, and then smooth it back out. So if you do iron a wrinkle into your outfit, it's not the end of the world. Just a little bit of extra work. Wrinkle here, squirt, squirt, squirt. And you iron your clothes because you just look neater and more presentable. It's incredibly important for interviews to look as presentable and professional as possible. I got ruffle sleeve. Can't escape ruffles. But on a sleeve, I don't know, I think it's cute. Going down the whole front of a shirt, I don't know. Oh, fashion. You used to be so incredibly awkward. You guys have it so easy with your leggings and your sweatpants and joggers. Anyway, enough griping, so I sound like an old person. Gotta be really careful with these irons. They're so hot. Oh, all right. Nope. All right, not done. Thought I was done. That was not true. I want to thank whoever suggested this video to me. I asked groups of friends or acquaintances for suggestions for videos. Because sometimes other people come up with really good ideas. And somebody was like, you should iron. And I was like, oh, I should. Not that I like doing it. So these wrinkles, this little line of wrinkles are part of the dress. So those I'm not going to iron out because they're part of the waist line and, you know, the style, the fashion of the garment. And so next year, if you see me wear this dress, you can be like, I saw you iron that dress in a video. You'll remember these garments for always. My umbrella skirt and this yellow floral dress. All right, so I ironed 4 garments. There's a lot of me squirting water, working out wrinkles. This is definitely not as good as if I was doing it for you in person so that you could really see. And also, one of the best ways to learn is to do it yourself. So when you do, be very careful. Hot surface. Even though I'm about to turn this off, still a very hot surface. Gotta hang this up before I wrinkle it by throwing it across my lap. So this is very hot. It's turned off. I've unplugged it. Still super hot. So I'm just going to let it sit here to cool. Also, now I can show you. This spot here is where the water goes in. So you put in there. You can see that steam. That's because it thinks I'm ironing right now. So I'm just going to iron my ironing board, I guess. And it's steaming it so that the wrinkles come out. Anyway. Okay. So that's where that goes in. This tiny bit here is where the water sprays out. Also, usually on irons, there's a guide. You can't read it, but you would check the tag to see what your clothing fabric is made of, and you would line it up here, and that will tell you the number to do. Usually, whenever I have to iron anything, it's got to go super hot. So, the hot numbers are what you're going to use more often. And there you go. That's ironing. Riveting. I know. Not anybody's favorite, but still needs to be done. Because you always want to look crisp and professional for interviews and at a job. You don't want to go in there looking sloppy, right? She says as she fixes her hair. I mean, could you imagine if I came into work looking sloppy? Would you take me seriously as a teacher? No. You'd be like, oh, here comes that person looking like a mess. All right. Anyway. Thank you for joining me while I do some chores. All right. See you soon.